Do you need to be worried about Social Security in 2025? Separating fact from feeling on this show with a MedTech Wealth Advisor. Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. We're going to talk about a topic that's kind of a hot button right now as we record this in the spring of 2025. We've been getting a lot of questions from clients about their Social Security. We're seeing it all over the internet. And we just wanted to address some of the reality of what's happening over, frankly, the fear that's being put out there. My partner, Matt Finley, is joining me again today. He wrote an excellent article on this. We've got posted on the blog. I think it lays out how to think about this in a more balanced manner, because the reality is we work with a lot of retired clients, and this is a decent portion of their retirement income. So, they rightly so have some fear about if it's going to be affected or go away. But we just want to talk about some of the reality with it. So, hey, thanks for coming back on the show again today, Matt, and joining us and giving us your thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Why don't we just jump right in and what's going on with Social Security right now that is causing some of these questions?
Yeah, so we're getting down to the deadline or the crux of Social Security being underfunded. The Government Accountability Office and other folks who do the projections and math on this are looking at 2032 being the year that Social Security runs out of proper funding, and Medicaid and Medicare around 2036. Now, what that means is not that you lose benefit, but if nothing is done to shore up the program, right now the projections are that you would receive 79% of your current benefit, or in 2032's benefit. So not ideal.
Not ideal. Well, I mean, it sounds dire. It seems like we've had a lot of, in my 25 years doing this, there's been several times when there's been scares about Social Security that I can remember. It seems like that date just keeps getting moved out further and further. Always feels like a kick the can down the road type of scenario. But,
right.
What do you think? I mean, can we fix this?
Yeah, I think the solutions are actually not too difficult. What it comes down to is people in Washington wanting to actually fix it. Yeah. And we know that it's a political time bomb for whoever is left holding that bag. That's why it's been my theory that it'll come down to the end. Whoever is in office at the time will have to fix it, and it might be, political suicide, if you will, for that party or that president. But we can't wait that long. The earlier we try to correct it, the easier the correction is. It's just a minor adjustment versus a massive one down the road. Some quick items that, would help: adjusting benefits for future recipients, not those on benefits. So let's say our generation, maybe reducing the pace of growth, whether it's the cost of living increase they give every year, dropping that down a little bit, or just a lower benefit payout to start with. That would have a big adjustment to the program. Increasing the age of retirement. So right now it's 62 to 70 is the window that you can begin your Social Security payments. Maybe they move that to 65 to 73 to match the RMD numbers that are out there.
Boy, that'd be a lot easier to remember, wouldn't it?
It'd be way easier to remember. Obviously, Social Security would start 3 years later. So that kind of is kicking the can down the road, but it allows the money in the trust to grow a little bit more before the benefit's taken out. The other ones would be raising your payroll tax. Currently, we pay 5.3% as an employee, and the employer pays 5.3% on their side for Social Security. Maybe that goes up to 5.6% on each side. Same thing for the Medicare solution. That one is 0.9% of your payroll. And actually, that one's pretty easy to fix. Just a minor adjustment would fix the Medicare. So that one I think will be solved very easily. And then, of course, the third one, or the fourth component of all this is getting in and either modernizing the payment system, trying to eliminate as much of the fraud and waste that we know is in the system. Government Accountability Office has given out numbers recently on how much waste and fraud's out there. We know annually Medicaid, as an example, is about 100 to 150 billion in fraud. Incredible. That gets investigated and prosecuted. So if we can clean some of that up, obviously that would help as well. But I think the actual answer is all of them combined would be the best way to shore it up.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's just a matter of political will, as you mentioned. And, just not to restate everything you said, but, any one of those would fix. You raise the payroll tax enough, that takes care of everything. Even if you leave all the payroll, the fraud and the waste in, it is a lot more palatable to just have incremental adjustments on each. And then, frankly, from a political standpoint, it doesn't crater your career if you get behind a vote for one item and your constituents don't want that. So that does feel like it's the right move, that we'll get a little bit of all of it. Maybe you can speak to some of this, that what has created some of this fear is a lot of the, shall we say, the comments from our colorful administration right now. And, it does seem a little smoke and mirrors sometimes, as if the intent is to create a lot of bluster, a lot of news, a lot of noise. That doesn't always happen, and then we go a different direction. So just kind of speak to that. What's really Trump coming out and saying that is scaring everybody so much?
Yeah, I don't actually think it's what he's saying as much as what is being potentially passed as the continuing resolution or funding bill in Congress. And of course, he has some input into that. To be very clear, both parties and President Trump have stated numerous times that they will not change any benefits for any individual. So that, I just want to put that out there, be very clear. No party is saying that, and the president isn't saying that. Where the fear's coming from is because the president mandated or his request, I should say, not necessarily a mandate, in the funding bill is to cut money from literally every division of the federal government to reduce our national debt. That includes the body that governs Social Security and Medicare, and that's an $800 million cut he's asking for. That is not meant to be a cut in a client's or a person's benefit. It's meant to be administratively in fraud. That's what the directive is for. But of course, that's not what the opposing party or the media or whoever's creating fear out there will ever tout, because they're trying to drive a wedge in it. And by no means am I defending what the president has said or what Republicans are doing in Congress or proposing, but understand that they're very, very clear that they will not cut benefits. Can they go back on their word? Of course. Will they? I don't think so.
Right. I think that's a great point, is that doesn't matter who's in power, doesn't matter the issue. Each side is going to pick what is the most fearful, the most, outrageous, if you will, to sort of drive that wedge. So I think as we're talking to clients, we're just often, we're hearing some crazy stuff sometimes on the internet and from clients, and I can't even go into all of the items I hear now. At any time that I hear something that just seems so far to one side or the other, frankly, it's easier to just discount that. That's why we have the checks and balances in the government. You can hear about all of the crazy scenarios, but we have some checks and balances in the government, and it's just tends to moderate it at the end answer.
And always remember that any president, cannot change your Social Security. It can't come by executive order, can't come by some written note. Congress has to approve and pass it. That's the beauty of our democracy.
Right. Yes, that's excellent. So let's just kind of wrap this up. What's really the key takeaway we want to have people understand?
Calm down, relax. Your Social Security isn't going away. Likely not even going to be cut now or in the future. There's plenty of mechanisms that Congress and presidents can do to solve it, and it will be solved. At the end of the day, you're not going to lose your Social Security, because the facts are, if Social Security was reduced or removed, we created an even bigger problem for the federal government to have to come in and fix.
Yeah, I think that's a great
just
way to
not
look at it.
logical. It's not going to happen.
Agree. Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. And frankly, that's why we do our financial planning, to just take into account changes that could come. We can certainly model the catastrophic items of Social Security going away if you want to see that, but we just don't think it's reality. However, that's what planning's for. So we can if we need to look at your situation to kind of take the fear level down, concern level down, let's do that. But then let's also just have a reality check about what's more probabilistic. That's great. Thanks for kind of coming on the show and educating our listeners, our clients. I mean, me as well. I'm always learning from you as you dig deep into some of this policy. So that's all the time we have for today. If you want to learn more about this, you can check the comments below, and we'll link to the article that Matt wrote. Look for other items that we'll do to educate the community. And until next time, remember, financial freedom takes more than money. So find your purpose and make a plan to live your life well. Take care of each other out there.